Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. I'm excited because today's the conclusion of our bottle throwdown. Can your bottle beat my bottle? So this is what we did. I issued a challenge to my community over on Discord. I said, hey, I don't think you guys have a bottle on your shelf. I don't think you have a straight rye on your shelf that can beat my Old Overholt 10-year cast strength in a blind. And they said, bet. So we had 8 samples sent in, and in the last video, we whittled those 8 down to 4. And then today, now we're taking those 4 winners that moved on in the competition, and they're in a blind stacked up with the Old Overholt. So they are behind me on the table. My wife poured them. She can attest. I could not see them. She was in our last video, not in this one. I'm just going to do this one solo. I know I do apologize. Some of you are already clicking off the video. I totally get it. But before I dive into this blind, I'm going to put this back up on the shelf because I don't want it here as I grab glasses because I don't want to see the color comparison. Sound good? Now, after we do the blind, I will then open this envelope, which my wife has sealed, which has the round 1 elimination, so I can see what I kicked out of the tournament yesterday. So that'll be interesting. And then I'll probably be mortified by some of the things that I kicked out, right? All right, let's get started. With no further ado, we'll start with the furthest left glass. I'll take notes as I go. That way I can kind of rank things, but I got 5 samples to get through here, 5 pours to get through. One of them's the Overholt. I'm not necessarily trying to pick that one out of the group. I'm just trying to pick my favorite and see if it's consistent, see if anyone was able to take down my Overholt, which has done very well for me in blinds historically. All right, I'm gonna start on the left and move to the right. First glass here, coming up right up front with a lot of oak and brown sugar. This one's packing some heat on the nose. Really dark in color. I bet this one's got some proof to it. Let's try it. Woo-hoo-hoo. That's the first sip of the day. And I think this is if I had to guess on first sip, 130 proof maybe? That's packing some heat. Oh, baptism by fire, blow out my palate on the first glass. But underneath the heat, there's definitely tons of brown sugar and oak, right? This feels like it spent a lot of time in a warehouse with some solid wood contact for sure. A little bit of a campfire note as well. Ooh, it's got some heat. Yeah, this is just like a rye cranked up to 1,000 here. It's got some heat to it. It's good. Don't get me wrong, it's real good. The more I sip it, the more I'm getting acclimated. Like I said, it wasn't my first sip of the day. But I'm thinking of, you know those candies? They're called Bit O Honey? Bit O Honeys? They're kind of old school, but they're really flippin' good. They're like little, almost like a toffee-ish caramel, but there's tons of honey in it. And little pieces of nut. Oh man, those things are killer. They're dynamite. This reminds me of those. Bit O Honeys. Let's move on to the next one. All right, now that we've established a baseline, this is glass number 2. It's like you guys know me. Like I have a type. I mean, on the nose alone, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody told me that this was like a twice barrel double oaked rye whiskey. There's just a ton of oak on it. I think that mature rye and oak are a match made in heaven, frankly. This one's giving me a little bit more of the baking spices notes, though. Like some clove, you know, and nutmeg and stuff like that. Even like maybe a black tea kind of a note on this one. Let's try it. Cheers. That's killer stuff. I mean, just off the taste alone, I think this is the one in the last video when I tasted it. I don't know what any of these are yet, by the way. But I think this is the one that last time I said, that might be JD single barrel proof rye. It has a JD vibe to it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, your black teas, deep, rich oak, some brown sugar, and some anise sort of licoricey vibes in here too. Come on. Delicious. So far, we got 2 strong pours right out the gate. But I kind of figured it was going to be like that. I mean, I think all of these obviously were good enough to make it into the next round. So I don't think we're going to have a bad pour on the table. Let's move on. This one, this is glass number 3. Glass 3 is like, okay, we came out and we sucker punched you in the face, but now we're gonna go easy on you. All right, this to me reminds me on the nose of even like a mellowed out older Canadian rye, just on the nose alone. Smells like it's got some manners, some more yellow fruit notes coming forward, your your nectarines and things of the sort. A little bit of a citrusy, I think of grapefruit actually on the nose. My dad used to love grapefruit as a snack when I was a kid. He'd just take a grapefruit, cut it in half, sprinkle some sugar on the top of it, and he would have it like a bowl shape, just half of it, and just eat it with a spoon right out of the rind. Let's try it. Cheers. Yeah, that fruity grapefruit note, It's there, but I'm getting like more dominant than that is this like a wintergreen note. You know, like those wintergreen lifesavers. My wife has them on hand like all the time. She actually prefers the I think it's like the dollar store brand. She's like, surprisingly, I think they're better because they, instead of having the hole in the middle, she's like, they fill it in. There's still stuff in there, so you get extra mint. You know, Lifesavers ripping you off by putting a hole in the middle. Dollar store brand, they don't punch that hole out. That's still all mint in there. I'm like, you know, I guess I can't argue with that. Yeah, grapefruit and wintergreen on this, for sure. A little bit of a honey note as well. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that ended up being something like a, I don't know, even like a 4-gate blend or something like that. Kind of has that vibe about it. Let's move on to glass 4. Oh, this smells delicious on the nose. Holy cow. In the last video, one of these I said reminded me of circus peanut candies. This one has that same vibe. Could be the same whiskey. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Reminds me of like you know, I worked in maintenance for a while when I was, you know, towards the end of getting my bachelor's degree and then on into my master's degree. For a while, for several years, I worked at the university that I was attending. I worked there in their facility services department, and they had this huge building where they had, you know, different spaces for different things. So HVAC had its own area. The plumbing department had its full warehouse and everything there. Electric, and I worked primarily with electric and plumbing, but every now and then I'd go to the wood shop because I'd have some work there where I needed things to be tailor-made. Every time I walked into that wood shop, there's sawdust in the air, craftsmen working their craft, doing their thing, machines running, iron tools wrapped in leather. This right here reminds me of that. It's like walking into that shop. You know what I mean? People hard at work, sawdust, iron and leather. I don't know. It's like manliness in a glass. This is like, I don't know. Is that like hubris? I don't know what that is. Testosterone taking over. Something about this, I smell it and I'm like, man. You know what I mean? Man. But it also has a sweetness to it as well. Think of rich toffees, like peanut brittle, you know, toffee with the nuts inside of it. Maybe you let that sugar get just a little bit too hot, a little too caramelized, slightly burnt. Beautiful. Let's try it. Cheers. When the palate's leaning away from some of those notes, that toffee note, not getting much of that on the palate. It takes a hard turn to like vegetal, earthy notes, which are not bad at all. I tend to get down with those notes. Even like a red vines sort of a vibe in here too. You know what I mean? You ever have red vines? I know some people think red vine is the inferior licorice stick. It's not. I know for some people that's a deal breaker, but if I had to fall off a log, if you held up a red vine and you held up a Twizzlers, and you said you can only pick one, what are you taking right now? Like, give me the red vine. Have you ever sipped cherry cola through a red vine that you bit off the ends of, turned it into a straw? I don't even drink soda. I never drink pop. There's not a single soda in my house that I keep stocked or that I sip. I literally drink water, whiskey, and coffee. And that's basically it for like my liquid intake. Water, whiskey, coffee. But if you had a glass of cherry cola and you had a red vine, I know exactly what I'm doing. I mean, this is bringing the oak, it's bringing the earth, it's bringing the vegetal notes, your anise. Either way, it's delicious. Let's move on to the last one. Here we go. This is glass 5. Let me cleanse the old palate real quick. All right, let's see what we got. Come on. Buttercream frosting. I think of a caramel apple on the nose of this too. I get the rich caramel, but I get that almost sour tart green apple as well. That's freaking great. Love that. Holy cow. Yeah, that bright green apple coming through bold and strong. It's tart. It's a little sour, a little... I don't want to say pungent. I feel like pungent has a negative connotation to it, and it's not a negative thing. I love sour candies, like Warheads, stuff like that. Cherry sours, all that. I'm a sucker for sour candies. Remember those suckers when we were kids? They used to have... I don't really see them anymore. But you'd go trick-or-treating, or you'd go to a parade, and they're throwing out candy. And they'd always have these green apple suckers that had the caramel, like... you know, on the outside of the sucker, like on the top half, like the bottom half was green and the top half was caramel. It's supposed to be a caramel apple flavored sucker. It's like taking me straight to those on the nose. Let's try it. This is very tame and very timid. I think of pears, I think of confectionery sugar. Not a lot of oak or proof on this one. This one has some manners. This one's trying to be kind to you. It's trying to schmooze you up a bit. You know, some people, they walk in the room and they're assertive. Like their presence is dominant. As soon as they walk into the room, it's like focus shifts. And then there's other people, they come into the room and their job is like to make you feel better. You know what I mean? It's not like a look at me. It's more like a, oh, what a pleasure to meet you. What an honor. Oh, tell me more about that. Oh, what you do sounds really interesting. That's what this whiskey is to me. It came in the room and it wasn't trying to be a black hole of focus and attention. It was like, tell me more about yourself. What makes you tick? You know what I mean? This one is got some manners, but it's kind of schmoozing me up a bit. Yeah, some honey, a little bit of spearmint in there, but it's not overbearing. It's pretty muted. We got like fresh cut grass. Very sweet, very approachable. I like that. Very yummy. Okay, now I have the very hard task of ranking these from top to bottom, favorite to least favorite. I think all these are winners because all these are delicious pours. And they all stand on their own 2 feet. They have their own core sense of identity. They're distinguishable, they're distinct. So I don't think that there are any losers here because they wouldn't have made it this far if they were losers. They made it this far because they're banging bottles. So even whatever takes last place today is gonna be a delicious bottle, right? So I think I have my bottom 2 and my top 3, but I'm gonna revisit these. And now that my palate's really acclimated, really warmed up to the whole rye experience, I need to taste at least the first 2, maybe even first 3 again, and come to my final conclusion. So give me a second to confer. This is the first glass again. This is the one that I said I got a little bit of like Bitto honey on. Come on, that's dynamite. Man, this was like really hard for me, but I've got my ranking. I don't know what any of these are yet, but I have my final scores here, my final ranking. All right, I've got all 5 glasses up here now. This is glass 1. This is glass 5. Okay? So, let's go backwards here. So in last place for today, 5th place is going to go to glass 3. Maybe I should call it C, because if I'm using 1 through 5 as my scoring and 1 through 5 for my numbering, let's go A through C. That way we don't confuse anybody. But glass ABC, glass C is going to take 5th place today. This is the one I said grapefruit, a little bit of wintergreen. I said I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a 4-gate or some kind of a Canadian blend, of straight rye whiskeys. Really enjoyed it. But for today, just enjoying the others more. 4th place. 4th place is going to go to glass E. This one I said was the schmoozer of the group. Like it has some manners. It came in. It was sweet. It was approachable. I really enjoyed it. But for today, it's going to take 4th place. The top 3 were much more dominant, more assertive, had a little bit of attitude to them, had a little bit of bite to them. So for 3rd place, I'm going to say 3rd place is going to go to glass B. I think glass B is going to take 3rd place. If I had to make a guess, I would propose to you that glass B might be Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. Which, if that's the case, the fact that it took 3rd place in a blind like this against what I'm assuming are going to be some pretty banger pours, that's pretty impressive for a bottle that is very approachable and very available. I don't know if that's what it is. That's just what it tastes like to me. Okay, now we come to the top 2. The final 2, 2nd place. This was very hard for me. I went back and forth between these 2 glasses. But between the 2, here's where I am leaning. 2nd place is going to go to glass A. And 1st place is going to go to glass D. And that is the result of my bottle versus your bottles. That's where I landed today. Of 8 entries, we whittled it down to 4. In the first video, we took those 4 winners. They moved on to this round where those 4 winners then went up against my old Overholt, which is somewhere in this lineup, right? If I had to make any guesses, I really don't know what is what here because I don't know. I was completely blind as to everything about this. So my wife handled everything with some of the leaders in our Discord. So I don't even know what bottles have been submitted. Okay, so it's a true blind in that regard. The only thing I know is that Overholt is on the table today. If I had to make some guesses, I think the Overholt probably made the top 2. Both of those were dynamite pours. Both of them really speak to my palate and what I like out of a rye whiskey. So I think it made the top 2. I think the bottom 2, if I had to make any guesses, might be blends. Could be older Canadian rye blends, which I do really enjoy, which is why they made it this far. But I do like a little bit more assertiveness out of my ryes at the end of the day if I had to pick a favorite. It does depend on my mood, though. I do think that whatever took third place, I'm going to guess is a Jack Daniel's product. Those are the guesses I'm going to make about this stuff today. Sound good? But let's do the reveal. Just gave my wife a call because I feel like because she's been really invested in this, and I thought she might want to be a part of the reveal. So I'm going to give her a minute to get down here. So
excited. Here we go.
This is what I ranked him as.
Okay.
Yeah, so then Glass D, which took first place, I said it was like manliness incarnate. It reminded me of like remember when I worked at facility services at the university, and they had all the different departments. Whenever I'd walk into the wood shop, and there's sawdust in the air, there's
that's not something I want to drink.
Iron tools and leather wrapped tools.
Iron and leather.
But it also had sort of these earthy notes alongside some of the nuttiness.
Okay.
And that's why it took first place to me. It's just like I drank it and I was just like, this is like what it means to. And this is really dumb. It's like this is being a man.
Oh my gosh.
I know, there it is.
That's
do the eye
so
roll too.
Cliche.
Yeah, it is. 100%.
Oh my goodness. So do you want to take a guess about any of them?
I did take some guesses.
Did you? Okay.
Okay, so here are the guesses that I made. I guessed that of the top two, I don't know where the Overholt landed, but I know my palate. I think the Overholt's in the top two.
Okay.
I don't know what the other one is, but I think Overholt made the top two.
I only remember where I put the Overholt. I don't remember where I put everything else.
Okay.
So.
I guessed that Glass B, which took third place, I guessed that was a Jack Daniel's product. It may be JD single barrel proof, but it said Jack Daniel's to me. You can tell me if it is or not. But I think that
you'll find out.
I think Glass B is the same bottle that yesterday I said was JD, and today I'm saying is JD again.
Okay.
Which, if it is, I'm gonna flex a bit and be like, "Oh yeah."
He was asking me all day yesterday.
I was like, "Break it, just look me in the eye."
Nothing.
I said, "Look me in the eye, tell me it's not JD." She's like, "I'm not gonna do it." She walk out of the room.
Yep.
And then I guess that the bottom two, so Glasses 3 and 5. I thought that these two.
4 and 5. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Glass C and Glass C.
I see.
The ones that took bottom two.
Yeah.
I said I think that they might be like even Canadian blends. They remind me of like an old Canadian rye whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they let it age 15, 16 years.
Okay.
And then put them in blends and blend it with some younger stuff. So it has a little bit of bite, but a lot of maturity. So I wouldn't even be surprised if one of those is like a 4-gate blended rye of some kind.
Okay.
I don't know. That's where I'm at.
Got to find out.
Let's do it. All right. So my last place was Glass C. So the middle one. Watch me be the Overholt and be so mad. Crowbar straight rye whiskey. This was from Craig, made in San Luis Obispo.
That's California.
It's a California straight rye whiskey, 57% ABV. This is 114 proof. I don't know anything about this. Is this like a craft distillery, Craig? It sounds like the name of a Pokemon.
Crowbar.
Crowbar.
And it's made of metal, and it looks like a crowbar.
It's like a poison steel type or something. Yeah. Crowbar rye whiskey. It says our grain comes from New York and Canada. I said a blend of Canadian?
Yes. That's insane that you picked that out. That's crazy.
All right. Historically known for growing rye. Yeah. So New York and Canada.
But it's made in California, but it's
double pot stilled with meticulous cuts for heads and hearts and tails. That's like, the saying, I can't make heads or tails of this?
Yes.
It doesn't have anything to do with a coin. That's actually referring to when you run a still. The first things that come off the still when you're distilling your whiskey, your heads.
Oh, the drink.
So when you're running your still itself, you don't the barrel's not even in there yet.
Okay.
That's later.
Got it.
But you're distilling, which is basically boiling the water or the liquid, so that because alcohol vapor boils into vapor faster than water does. So you have like beer, but you want to leave the water behind. Okay. So you're heating it up so that the alcohol evaporates. Gotcha. You're gathering the alcohol and separating it from the water. That's what distillation is.
Science.
The first stuff that comes off the still is poison.
Oh.
And the last thing that comes off of the still is poison.
Oh.
So that's why it has to be carefully regulated.
Scary.
That's why moonshining is like highly illegal. Because it's not regulated. You could be actually giving people poison.
I'm not crazy on moonshine anyway. But
no, it's just
it's not my
it's literally there just to be a super kick in the face of alcohol. But anyways, So your heads and your tails are the stuff you want to take out.
Okay.
And the hearts is what's in the middle. That's the stuff that's good. That's what ends up in these bottles.
Crazy.
Right? So when they say they're making meticulous cuts for heads, hearts, and tails, it basically means that they really dial in. Like different distilleries dial in on something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like some of them are like, our grains are what make us different. Some people are like, the way that we barrel our whiskey is what makes us different. So they're saying our thing is that we really taste every part of what comes off the still to make sure that we're making meticulous cuts, that only the perfect stuff ends up in the bottle.
I'm seeing on the website there that they're listing that as $75. How does that compare to your old Overholt?
Old Overholt is, I think, a $90 MSRP.
Okay.
Usually you're going to see it for $100.
Not too far.
Not too far.
But okay.
Yeah.
So that was your 5th place.
Yeah, Craig, that was super interesting. It's cool that made the cut to today. Yeah. Something that I've never in my life heard of Crowbar.
Yeah, I had to Google it too.
New York and Canadian rye blended together with meticulous cuts. Cool. Okay, so then let's see. Glass E took 4th place. Let's see what that was. Can I make a guess now?
On what?
I'm gonna guess whose it is. Not what it is. I'm gonna guess whose this is.
I don't remember whose I put where.
So I'm gonna make a guess before I even open this up. Now that I know of the bottom 2 for today, I said we're both kind of giving me Canadian blend vibes. Because I know some of our patrons and their palates. Yeah. I think by process of elimination, this one's gonna be Grendel's.
Okay.
I think this is Grendel's.
I don't remember where I put most of them, so.
This is it's Grendel's. This is my Grendel. Yep. Yes. This is actually, I'm wrong about where it came from, though.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is Willett Family Reserve, 10-year and 6-year rye blend, 104 proof. I mean, it's delicious. Thank you very much, Grendel. Yeah, absolutely delicious stuff. I said it was, this is the one that I said, wait, which one was this? Yeah, this is Glass E. I said this was the schmoozer. Mm-hmm. This was the one that was really approachable. It's like, tell me about you. You know what I mean? It's trying to, like, butter you up for something before it asks for a favor. That one had was kind of sly, had some manners. It's trying to like honey pot, is that what you call it? Trying to honey pot you? Yeah, it's a bit of a honey pot. Yeah. Trap ya. Yeah. Like the hot girl that's trying to make you think she's into you just so she can get something out of you. That's the Willett Family Reserve 10-year, 6-year blend. Good stuff, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your submissions. Here we go, our top 3. Mm-hmm. So 3rd place I said was Glass B. This is
That's the one you guessed.
I think this was submitted by Matt Breyer, and I think it's a Jack Daniel's product.
Do you want to? You said yesterday what you thought exactly it was.
I think it's JD Single Barrel Proof. It could be the one that comes straight out of the distillery, or it could be like a store pick of some kind.
Let's find out.
It's Matt. It's Jack Daniel's. It's Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof Rye.
I emailed him yesterday. I was like, you would not believe he guessed it. I could not believe he did that. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
But here's the thing, like, you can get that bottle for $60.
Yeah.
And the fact that it made it into the top 3 in a, like, unicorn rye blind, like, there's some serious competition here.
Wait till you see what you picked it over.
Yeah, I'm worried about that. After this, we see what the round 1 eliminations were. You guys already know it because you watched the video. But now you're going to see my reactions to knowing it. All right, 2nd place went to Glass A. Very first glass. Mm-hmm.
Well, you're going to do both at the same time?
This is either Old Overholt.
Right, it at least made top 2.
Or Somebody Beat Me. Somebody beat my bottle. Dang. Overholt won. Because this is 13th Colony Cask Strength Single Barrel Rye, 8.5 years old, submitted by Finnis, 131.6 proof. Thanks for printing these off. This is like so much more professional than I normally do. This is handwrite stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it was a lot of information. I didn't want to chicken scratch it.
Holy cow, dude. 13th Colony Cask Strength Rye. So 13th Colony is a distillery in Georgia.
Okay.
And if that's 8.5 years old, Georgia heat is pretty intense. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times their whiskeys get to higher proofs sooner because there's a lot more evaporating out of the barrel, which makes it more concentrated in there. Mm-hmm. And 13th Colony's made a really big impression on the whiskey community in the last 2 years, maybe even year and a half. But anyways,
I'm a little disappointed yours won. I'm gonna be honest. I was really hoping that somebody was gonna beat you.
Manliness incarnate. The old Overholt 10
The
year.
minute you started showing me, I was like, dang it, you picked the one. No, I was really hoping we'd beat
Oh
you.
man. But this, I'm telling you guys, old Overholt 10 years, dynamite. This is absolute dynamite. And they're releasing an older expression of it this year.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to reach out to Harry at the distillery, who invited us down last year, and be like, hey, what are the chances you could hang on to one of those bottles for me? Is it abusing your connections or is it leveraging? I think it's leveraging. I'm going to try. We'll see what happens.
It's all who you know.
It's all who you know.
Yeah. You want to see who you eliminated first round?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm really worried about what I eliminated. I mean, I'm glad 13th Colony Cast Strength made it to the final cut, because that's a big deal for folks. That's a pretty high-profile bottle. I'm glad the Willett Family Reserve made it, because that's, again, another high-profile bottle. It's not cheap.
And you're going to see who they lost out to. So I put the pairings there.
You put the pairings there. So in round 1 of last week's, that's crazy to me. That Michter's Barrel Strength Rye. 6-year-old Michter's. From Randy. Randy, thanks for sending in Michter's. Michter stuff is hard to come by too. Because people really sell. And Michter stuff has traditionally performed very well for me. I think that my favorite bottle from them ever has been the 10-year Rye, which was incredible. Well, absolutely incredible. But this is the 6-year, 110 proof, barrel strength, batch 2021B. If I remember correctly, I said it was really good.
Yeah, you did.
But I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think I said that it was leaning more towards like your sweet oaks.
I think you said it stood out so much that
it stood out.
You would be able to pick it out.
Exactly. So I was like, I'll go with something that's a little more traditional for my pick today because I don't want to taste it and be like immediately know what that is. You know what I mean? But it was delicious. It was a rye, but it was leaning much more towards your sweet double oaked notes that you get, even though it wasn't a double oaked product. Thanks so much, Randy, for your submission.
And who did that get beaten by?
That got beat by Crowbar, Craig's.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I mean, that's a real underdog.
Yeah.
Like a distillery I've never heard of that's doing a blend of Canadian and New York. That's crazy. Round 2. Oh, no shot. Blood Oath Pact 8. And it's at 98.3 proof because, and I told you, I don't know if you remember it, but we've talked about Blood Oath before. And I told you there's something unique about their proof. Do you remember?
Something to do with the temperature being the temperature of blood?
The proof, 98.3, is the temperature of blood in the human body.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, you basically got it.
I do listen sometimes.
Every now and then. And that got beat by the Willett Family Reserve. Hey, that's a heck of a pairing. I mean, that's some two heavy hitters right there.
Those were both from...
Those were Grendel.
Yeah, those were both from Grendel.
Round 3. Oh, tough matchup here. So Welsh submitted the Old Ezra 7-year rye, which I said was really good. And it leaned very traditional rye notes. If I remember correctly, I don't think that was an easy pick, but I think that 13th Colony cask strength, single barrel, I mean, obviously coming in at cask strength, is just going to be so assertive. And I do tend to lean towards things that are brash. I like things that have a little attitude. 13th Colony coming out of Georgia, coming out of that heat, being so high proof. What did that end up being? Yeah, that's 131.6 proof, 8.5-year-old rye going up against a 7-year-old Ezra. That's a tough matchup. I'm not surprised that the 13th Colony won, but I think the Old Ezra was a genuine contender nonetheless. Thanks, Welsh. And then I'm looking at this. I literally cannot believe it. I cannot believe I eliminated Parker's Heritage 10-year rye. This is literally my unicorn. It's like, if I have told multiple people, if I could get one bottle this year, if you told me you can only acquire one bottle this year, I would pick Parker's Heritage, the 10-year rye from, this is 2023.
Yeah.
Because there's only one Parker's Heritage a year. This was the 2023 bottle. And last time I had it, I said it was unlike any rye I've ever had in my life, and that it was delicious.
And you eliminated it in round 1.
Here's the thing, though. If I remember correctly, this is the one I said...
Kind of outer space.
Nutty and jammy.
Yeah.
Like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yeah. But it's so
that was
unique.
The one in the UFO glass, right?
And yeah.
Said was,
and I can't... And like, when I tasted it, I was like, I can't believe that this is awry because it is so unique, right? And it colors so far outside of the lines. And I think I ended up eliminating it mainly because I was concerned that if I had that in the final lineup, there's like no way I would taste it and be like, is that old Overholt? I don't know. Like, I would know immediately, like, that's definitely not Overholt, whatever it is. You know what I mean? That's the tough part about doing blinds. Is because sometimes you know for a fact you don't know what it is, but you know what it's not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thank you so much,
and that was beat by what?
Matt, for supplying that. That was beat by Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof.
Which was also submitted by Matt.
To JD's credit, they have launched to the top of, like, my favorite distilleries. And we talked about this yesterday. Jack Daniel's is just killing it. It's not like your Grandpappy's old number 7 that, is cheap whiskey that, you go to parties, it's in red Solo cups. It's not that anymore. I mean, they still have that stuff, if that's what you're into, but it's fine. But they have, like, the JD 12 year. That's one of my favorite bottles on my shelf, right next to the Jack Daniel's Twice Barreled Rye Special Release. Smell this.
It's just going to smell like whiskey to me. It's not going to...
It's so much oak and sweet brown sugar.
I pick up on the brown sugar for sure.
Absolute dynamite.
It smells like French toast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing juice coming out of Jack Daniel's.
All right, people. Oh, no.
No, the glass is fine. I'm just crying over the whiskey that was lost.
Oh, there's still a little bit left. There's still a little left in the bottle that he sent.
I can't believe I've done this.
So what's your next one you're going to do?
Yes. So our next one is going to be finished bourbons. Let me grab my bottle.
And this time you have to beat him. Step up our game. We got to beat this cracker. I love to say cracker.
We've got a couple of submissions for this one already, but if you are interested, please get in our Discord. The link is in the description. And reach out to BriarX in our Discord. So that's Matt. He's the one that supplied the JD and the Parker's Heritage for this lineup. But chat with him and say, I think I have a bottle on my shelf that could beat Ryan's Joseph Magnus cigar blend. So specifically, this is batch 205, and I think that it is incredible. I've had a couple of other batches of Joseph Magnus' cigar blend, but this was the one that is my favorite. The cognac comes through, so some of it's finished in cognac barrels. So it's like fortified wines. So lots of leather, wood shop, and like figgy jams and grapes.
Interesting.
Delicious stuff. Nancy Fraley over there at Joseph Magnus doing some incredible blending. But anyways, so finished bourbons. If you have a bourbon that's finished in a secondary barrel of some kind, and you think it could take on, and you think it could take on my Joseph Magnus cigar blend, reach out to Matt BriarX in the Discord. He's got a spreadsheet. So that way we don't have repeat bottles, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So this time, if someone takes down my bottle in a blind, we'll give you a prize of some kind. Of some kind. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know, maybe it'll be like a Dramguard Glencairn or a coaster, or maybe it's the rights to pick the content of a blind. We've done that before as a prize before for people in raffles where they get to select my blind for like a live stream, which is a lot of fun too. So they can really kind of test my palate, which has been a good time. So I think DMC's done that before. I think Ardov, so David, I think David's done that as well. So it's been a good time. Get involved. Can you take down my bottle? You guys failed to take down my bottle today. You couldn't do it. The old Overholt stands supreme. Can you take down the Joseph Magnus cigar blend? We'll find out next time. So we grab the first place glass, my old Overholt, and we say, cheers, my friends. May you live richly and get better with age, and hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.